The evening meal, or dinner, can be a decisive factor in managing unwanted morning blood glucose spikes. Despite medical professionals prescribing various medications, adjusting dosages, and administering insulin injections for years, many diabetic patients continue to face the problem of high blood sugar every morning. A natural question arises: why does this happen? Thousands of people don't even suspect that the root of the problem often lies not in the effectiveness of medications, but in their eating habits right before bedtime. The phenomenon known as the dawn phenomenon, though it has a pleasant, almost poetic name, is in reality one of the most insidious and destructive conditions for a person with diabetes. It's not uncommon for a patient to go to bed with a perfectly acceptable glucose level, for example, 6.5 millimoles per liter, only to wake up with readings exceeding 9 millimoles per liter, having done nothing to provoke such a jump. They haven't eaten, drunk, or experienced stress. The question then becomes, what is this? Why does one's own body start causing harm precisely during the night? The answer is both simple and frightening. It's pure biology. In the early morning hours, typically between 4 and 7 a.m., specific hormones activate to prepare the body for waking. These hormones stimulate the liver to actively release glucose into the bloodstream. For a healthy person, this process goes almost unnoticed because their pancreas responds adequately by producing enough insulin. However, in a diabetic, especially with insulin resistance, the pancreas cannot cope. Either there isn't enough insulin or its action is weakened. What's particularly frustrating is that this process is initiated by the body itself, without any human involvement or provocation. This is precisely why many medical professionals find themselves in a difficult position when their patients complain about consistently high morning blood sugar. It seems that daily routines are strictly followed and medication dosages are carefully calibrated, yet glucose levels continue to show undesirable fluctuations. What is often overlooked or not given due attention is the role of nutrition right before sleep. The evening meal can either provide significant help or cause considerable harm. In this context, it is crucial to understand one fundamental thing. Society is accustomed to fearing eating at night. We are constantly warned against obesity, slowed metabolism, and elevated blood sugar. However, the truth is that for an elderly person with diabetes, a properly chosen snack before bed can be a real salvation. This isn't about typical sandwiches, fruits, or porridges, but about special, carefully considered foods. These are capable of gently maintaining stable blood sugar levels throughout the night, preventing excessive liver activity, and most importantly, contributing to waking up with normal glucose readings. Further discussion will detail which foods should absolutely not be consumed before bed, as well as which dietary components can indeed have a beneficial effect. Additionally, readers will be offered specific recipes that can be easily integrated into the evening diet or used as a nighttime snack. The main goal is to explain how, by simply using the power of properly selected food, one can gain full control over morning sugar spikes, thereby avoiding the need to increase insulin dosages. This circumstance is particularly significant for elderly individuals whose kidneys, heart, and blood vessels may already be weakened. Constant fluctuations in glucose levels harm the entire body. Morning sugar spikes represent a hidden but powerful blow to the brain, eyes, and lower extremities. Conversely, when glucose levels are stabilized, a person feels significantly lighter and more energetic, their sleep improves, and recovery processes proceed faster. And what's equally important, this won't involve exotic or expensive products. All recommendations presented will be based on common, readily available food ingredients. One only needs to possess the knowledge of when, in what quantity, and in what manner they should be consumed. If a person is tired of every morning starting with alarming glucometer readings, this information can radically change their approach to dinner and help preserve their health for many years to come. Now, let's move on to a detailed analysis of common mistakes made by people with diabetes in the evening, and find out why these missteps lead to such an undesirable start to the day. One of the most typical and, unfortunately, widely practiced mistakes is complete abstinence from food before bed. Fears associated with evening eating are sometimes so strong that a person consciously goes to bed hungry, mistakenly believing that this will prevent blood sugar from rising. However, in practice, the exact opposite occurs. The body interprets hunger as severe stress and, in response, activates a powerful defense mechanism. As part of this reaction, the liver begins to actively release stored glucose into the bloodstream, striving to provide the brain with necessary energy. Consequently, even though the person ate nothing, a significant blood sugar spike awaits them in the morning. The second common mistake is making incorrect food choices for the evening diet. Some people mistakenly believe that, for example, an apple eaten before bed is an absolutely safe option. However, the fructose contained in apples rapidly converts to glucose, which, during the night, without any physical activity, is not properly utilized by the body. A similar situation is observed with other fruits, such as bananas or grapes, as well as with yogurts and kefir containing various additives. These products, which seem light and harmless at first glance, can actually cause a very significant glycemic response. Elderly people often prefer sandwiches made with bread, cheese, or sausage, which is also a suboptimal choice. At first glance, such food seems simple and harmless, but white bread is essentially almost pure starch. It can rapidly elevate blood sugar, especially if consumed alone, without accompanying fiber and healthy fats. And if sausage, abundant in salt and preservatives, is added, it becomes a double blow to vascular and kidney health. The third common mistake is eating dinner too late. Many people go to bed around 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., but have dinner at 9 p.m. As a result, the food doesn't have enough time to fully digest before sleep, and during the night, the body is forced to focus on digestion instead of restorative processes. This leads to blood sugar fluctuations, disrupted sleep quality, and in the morning, a feeling of sluggishness and, of course, high glucose readings. Dinner consumed an hour before bedtime is especially harmful. Such a practice provokes sharp sugar spikes, causes insomnia, and frequent nighttime urination. The fourth mistake is eating dry meals. Elderly people often limit themselves to swallowing a piece of bread with tea or eating boiled potatoes without added oil. Such food is absorbed extremely quickly, causing a sharp sugar spike, followed by hunger within 2 hours. The body, in a panic, demands food again, but the person is asleep. What does the liver do in such a situation? It releases sugar into the bloodstream. The result is morning hyperglycemia. The fifth mistake is sweet snacks. Even a small candy, a spoonful of jam, or a cookie eaten to lift one's spirits before bed can nullify all efforts to control blood sugar. This is especially dangerous for people taking insulin. Its dose is calculated for a specific type of diet, and simple sugars act too quickly and unpredictably. Such a situation can lead to either nighttime hypoglycemia or a morning sugar spike. There's another hidden pitfall worth mentioning: dairy products. It might seem that nothing could be healthier than a glass of warm milk before bed, but elderly people often have reduced activity of enzymes responsible for lactose breakdown. As a result, consuming milk can cause not only bloating and a feeling of heaviness, but also elevate blood sugar more than expected, especially if consumed on an empty stomach without accompanying food. It's important to remember, dinner for a person with diabetes is not just an ordinary meal. It's a crucial part of a comprehensive treatment plan. Mistakes made in the evening will inevitably result in a morning sugar spike, headache, general weakness, and a worsening of well-being. However, there's no need to panic. The following sections will explain in detail how to properly structure evening meals so that they bring benefit, not harm. After all, the ability to manage one's condition is in each person's hands. It's essential to start with a deep understanding of what role food plays at night and how it can become a reliable ally in the fight against diabetes. To defeat the enemy, you must know it well. Therefore, we will now thoroughly examine what exactly happens in an elderly person's body after dinner and why this is directly linked to morning sugar elevation. This knowledge will help you understand why certain foods can truly alleviate the course of diabetes. So, after eating, the body begins the digestion process. Carbohydrates typically take 1 to 2 hours to break down. Proteins digest longer, up to 4 hours. Fats are even slower. This is why foods containing both proteins and fats help maintain more sustained and even blood sugar levels. Pure carbohydrates, especially so-called fast-acting ones such as bread, sugar, and potatoes, rapidly raise blood sugar, but it falls just as quickly. This is what causes undesirable fluctuations. In the elderly body, all processes proceed more slowly. The stomach digests food, on average, 20 to 30% longer than in younger individuals. Insulin production decreases, and cell sensitivity to it is weakened. This means that even seemingly harmless food can lead to a rise in blood sugar that will persist throughout the night. Furthermore, closer to morning, the body itself begins to actively release hormones: cortisol, adrenaline, and glucagon. This is a natural process of preparing for waking. These hormones send a signal to the liver it needs to activate. The liver begins to break down glycogen, stored glucose, and releases it into the blood. In a healthy person, a small amount of insulin is released at this time to neutralize this sugar. But in a diabetic, it is not. And here's the result. Morning blood sugar rises, even though the person hasn't eaten anything. However, if the dinner consisted of foods with the correct composition, for example, protein combined with healthy fats and a small amount of slow carbohydrates, then blood sugar levels remain stable throughout the night. Why? Because the body doesn't need to panic. Glucose levels are maintained externally by the food. The liver doesn't interfere with this process. Hormones are not excessively activated, and in the morning, the glucometer shows a normal reading. Special attention should be paid to nighttime hypoglycemia. In elderly people, it occurs quite often, especially if the person is taking insulin or sulfonylurea medications. While asleep, a person doesn't notice a critical drop in blood sugar, and the body self-corrects by releasing adrenaline into the bloodstream. This hormone forces the liver to sharply raise blood sugar. The person wakes up and sees glucometer readings of 9 or even 11 millimoles per liter. They think this is hyperglycemia. But in reality, it's compensation for nocturnal hypoglycemia, a frightening and hidden trap. To avoid such conditions, nighttime nutrition should serve as an anchor. It keeps blood sugar on a stable line, preventing it from dropping or rising. This certainly doesn't mean you need to overeat, as if for a festive feast. Not at all. The main thing is the quality of products and their correct combination. Specific recommendations for dinner choices will be presented next. It will be explained in detail which foods behave quietly and stably, and which, conversely, provoke hormonal storms in the body. Ready-made ideas for an evening menu will be offered, which can be adapted to individual preferences and financial possibilities. The main thing is to understand the underlying principles, which will be explained in the most accessible manner. Effective control of blood sugar levels during nighttime hours is a prerequisite for a successful and productive day. If a person wakes up with normal glucose readings, they feel significantly more energetic, calmer, and have more strength and vitality. This, in turn, allows them to be active, socialize, and fully enjoy life. This is precisely how one should live, regardless of the diagnosis. Now, let's move on to the most important part. What foods can truly help avoid the undesirable dawn phenomenon? We will now present the most crucial and specific information. What exactly should be consumed for dinner or right before bed, so that morning blood sugar does not rise, but instead remains within normal limits or even decreases. These products have been selected not based on trendy fads or internet advice, but on years of clinical practice and real patient outcomes over the past 25 years. The first and most important rule: protein must be present in your evening meal. It is the primary building block for the body's tissues. Protein does not cause sharp sugar spikes, digests slowly, providing prolonged satiety, and helps stabilize glucose levels. Sources of protein include meat, chicken, fish, eggs, cottage cheese, as well as legumes. However, it is extremely important not to overeat at dinner. A palm-sized portion is sufficient. As an example, baked chicken fillet with broccoli, drizzled with a spoonful of olive oil, can be cited. Adding half a boiled egg to this dish will create an ideal dinner for a person with diabetes. No sharp sugar fluctuations, no feeling of hunger during the night, and normal glucose readings in the morning. The second rule is the mandatory presence of healthy fat. Yes, fat. It slows down carbohydrate absorption, provides the body with energy, and aids in the absorption of vital vitamins. This refers to foods such as avocado, flaxseed or olive oil, nuts, especially walnuts and almonds, and fatty fish, mackerel, herring, pink salmon. A good option for an evening snack could be half a boiled egg, a couple of walnuts, and a cup of chamomile tea. This is a light, nutritious snack that doesn't raise blood sugar and soothes the stomach. Third, fiber. It plays a key role in lowering the glycemic index of any product. The more fiber a food contains, the slower sugar is absorbed. Fiber is abundantly present in vegetables, bran, and flax seeds. For example, a spoonful of ground flax seeds added to a glass of kefir is not only tasty, but also effectively stabilizes blood sugar levels throughout the night. Here's another interesting recipe. Take 3 tablespoons of low-fat cottage cheese, add a teaspoon of flaxseed, and a pinch of cinnamon. Mix thoroughly and consume an hour before bed. This will help control blood sugar and improve digestion. Now, pay attention. One of the most underrated food groups is legumes. A small portion of lentils or beans eaten in the evening is an ideal combination of slow carbohydrates, protein, and fiber, all in one. They provide prolonged satiety, do not cause sharp sugar spikes, and are slowly processed by the body. The main thing is not to add mayonnaise or fatty sauces to them. It's better to limit yourself to a small amount of olive oil and fresh herbs. For those who prefer a very light snack, 1 boiled egg or a small piece of hard cheese, about 20 grams, will suffice. It is important that the snack is unsweetened and does not contain a large amount of starch. And now, about unexpected but highly effective aids. The first is cinnamon. It is known for its ability to enhance cellular sensitivity to insulin. It is recommended to add it to cottage cheese, kefir, or tea. The second is ginger. An infusion made from a small piece of ginger, drunk before bed, soothes the stomach and has an anti-inflammatory effect, which positively impacts overall metabolism. Finally, another recipe, a glass of warm water with a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, but only natural, not store-bought. Vinegar promotes more stable liver function and reduces the glycemic response to consumed food. It should be drunk 20 to 30 minutes before bed. However, if you have stomach problems, you should refrain from this remedy and definitely consult a doctor. Now that a foundation has been established for understanding how foods specifically affect blood sugar levels at night, we will delve into concrete evening meal plans based on medication timing, insulin injections, and individual needs. We will examine how to properly structure your evening diet, depending on what medications a person is taking, how stable their blood sugar is, and what time they go to bed. After all, there is no universal solution, and the approach must be strictly individualized. Let's start with the most common scenario. An elderly person with type 2 diabetes taking oral anti-diabetic medications without insulin. If the patient takes blood sugar-lowering drugs in the morning and evening, such as metformin, then dinner should be approximately 1 hour after the evening pill. It is important that dinner includes proteins, a small amount of healthy fats, and slow carbohydrates. Example, 100 grams of boiled fish, a couple of tablespoons of buckwheat, and stewed zucchini. Add some fresh herbs and a teaspoon of flaxseed oil. The result will be a rich and balanced dish. Such nutrition helps metformin act gently, without the risk of nocturnal hypoglycemia. If a person goes to bed late, for example, after 11 p.m., a small second dinner can be considered. This is especially important if morning sugar spikes have been previously observed. The second dinner should be light, for example, 1 piece of hard cheese and a couple of nuts, or half a glass of kefir with a teaspoon of ground flaxseed. Now let's move on to insulin-dependent patients. This is a special category. If a person takes long-acting insulin injections in the evening, it is extremely important to consider the peak of its action. Most often, This peak occurs in the morning hours. For this reason, the evening meal must be carefully selected. Any fast carbohydrates are absolutely excluded. Everything should be slow, stable, and predictable. A good option could be 100 grams of boiled chicken fillet, a spoonful of stewed beans, and a couple of cucumber slices. If a person feels hungry before bed, they can add half a boiled egg, but it's better to avoid bread, even whole grain, in the evening. If a patient is taking sulfonylurea medications, such as gliclazide, glibenclamide, and others, there may be a risk of nocturnal blood sugar drops. In this case, dinner is mandatory, and it is advisable to consume it no later than 2 hours before bedtime. An omelet made from 2 egg whites and 1 yolk, a spoonful of boiled lentils, and warm chamomile tea would be suitable. And if episodes of sugar drops have been observed closer to morning, a second dinner should be introduced no later than half an hour before sleep. Half a banana, a small amount of low-fat cottage cheese, or a glass of Ryazenka. These products will provide the body with the necessary fuel and prevent the liver from releasing too much glucose. Special attention should be paid to those who suffer from insomnia. Often, in elderly people, sleep disturbances significantly impact blood sugar levels. A person wakes up in the middle of the night, and the body immediately starts releasing sugar to provide alertness. And there you have it, a morning spike. In this case, it is crucial not to go to bed hungry. An ideal evening ritual includes a warm shower, consuming warm food, dim lighting, avoiding television during dinner, and eating not immediately before bed, but 1.5 to 2 hours prior. This will help you fall asleep faster and allow the body to perform its functions calmly. And finally, an important recommendation: keep a food diary. Record what was eaten in the evening and what your blood sugar level was in the morning. Within a week, certain patterns will become evident. This will become your personal key to stable well-being. Next, we will discuss foods that are strictly unsuitable for a diabetic's dinner and explain why they disrupt the entire nocturnal sugar regulation. Very often, patients express surprise. Why is my blood sugar high in the morning if I didn't eat anything harmful? However, when the evening diet is analyzed in detail, it is precisely those foods that, at first glance, seem harmless, but actually inflict significant harm on a diabetic, especially at night, they're discovered. The first thing to absolutely avoid is bread, especially white bread, even the smallest piece. White bread is pure starch. It is absorbed very quickly. Blood sugar levels rise sharply, and within a couple of hours, while the person is sleeping, sugar drops and then spikes again. The result: the dawn phenomenon. Even dark bread is not always safe. It often contains various additives, sugar, and molasses. If you still wish to eat bread, choose only whole grain, no more than 1 slice, and exclusively in the first half of the day. The second insidious group is fruits. Yes, they're undoubtedly beneficial and contain vitamins, but fructose is also sugar. Bananas, grapes, watermelon, and persimmon are especially dangerous. If eaten at night, expect a sugar spike by morning. What's most interesting is that this spike won't be sharp. It will be gradual, and a person won't even notice it. Yet, the glucometer will show a higher than normal reading in the morning. Fruits combine particularly poorly with dairy products. For example, a popular snack like kefir with a banana is a direct hit to blood sugar levels. It would be much safer to have a spoonful of cottage cheese with cinnamon. Sweet doesn't always mean beneficial. Third, potatoes. They are part of almost every diet, especially for elderly people. But here's the problem: potatoes contain a lot of starch, and even boiled, they still cause a rise in blood sugar, especially if eaten in the evening. Fried potatoes are simply a disaster. French fries or fried potatoes are the #1 enemy of nighttime blood sugar. If you want something filling, it's better to choose stewed vegetables: zucchini, broccoli, cauliflower. Add a drop of oil, a little salt, and you'll get a safe, tasty dish. Fourth, instant porridge packets. Even if they are labeled sugar-free, they are processed in such a way that they are absorbed almost instantly. Their glycemic index is higher than that of regular sugar, which means a nighttime spike is guaranteed. The fifth mistake is sweet snacks. Even a small candy, a spoonful of jam, or a cookie, eaten to lift one's spirits before bed, can undermine all efforts to control blood sugar. This is especially dangerous for people taking insulin. Its dose is calculated for a specific type of diet, and simple sugars act too quickly and unpredictably. Such a situation can lead to either nighttime hypoglycemia or a morning sugar spike. Sixth, alcohol. Yes, situations vary, but any amount of alcohol is absolutely forbidden. The liver simply cannot cope with regulating blood sugar levels. Even a small amount of alcohol can cause both nighttime hypoglycemia and a sharp rise in the morning. Seventh, yogurts with additives. Almost all store-bought yogurts contain sugar, starch, and flavorings. Even those marketed as sugar-free often cause glucose levels to rise. If you want yogurt, choose natural, plain, preferably homemade. And eighth, unbalanced grains. Many people think that buckwheat or oatmeal are always healthy. Yes, but not in the evening and not on their own. Eating only porridge will lead to a sugar spike. Add protein, an egg, cottage cheese, or a piece of fish. Only then will your porridge become body-friendly. It's now clear that even common foods can be problematic for diabetes, especially when consumed at night. Next, we'll cover a crucial topic: how to adjust your diet if you're experiencing the dawn phenomenon. A step-by-step guide will be provided to help you see results in just a few days. If you've read this far, you're already closer to achieving stable morning blood sugar. We'll explain exactly how to gradually eliminate the dawn phenomenon without drastically changing your life, but by simply adjusting your evening habits. This approach truly works, with hundreds of patients showing clear results over decades of practice. Step 1. Keep a diary. Don't just note your morning blood sugar levels. Also record exactly what you ate for dinner and if you had a second snack. In a few days, you'll clearly see which foods contribute to stable levels and which cause an undesirable spike. Step 2. Dinner should be eaten no later than 2 hours before bedtime. If you tend to go to bed late, be sure to add a light second dinner. This shouldn't be candy or cookies, but rather, for example, a spoonful of cottage cheese with nuts, a little kefir with cinnamon, or a boiled egg. This helps prevent your liver from activating its protective mechanism and releasing glucose. Step 3. Try to eat dinner at the same time every day. An older person's body values stability and predictability. If you go to bed at 10 p.m., dinner should be at 8 p.m. If you go to bed at midnight, dinner should be at 9:30 p.m., plus a light second snack at 11 p.m. Follow this daily. Within a week, your blood sugar levels will become much more stable. Step 4. Eliminate all trigger foods from your dinner. No white bread, instant porridges, fruits, honey, potatoes, or store-bought yogurts. No dried fruits or pasta. All of these can be easily replaced with vegetables, proteins, and a small amount of slow-release carbohydrates. As a result, you'll feel full, and your blood sugar levels will remain stable. Step 5. Pay attention to physical activity. Even a light 15 to 20-minute walk after dinner can work wonders. Your blood sugar won't spike sharply, your metabolism will be more active, and your body will prepare for a restful night. This is especially beneficial if you have trouble falling asleep or frequently wake up during the night. Step 6. Medication intake. If you take blood sugar-lowering medication or insulin injections, you must discuss the optimal timing with your doctor. Sometimes, a slight adjustment to the timing of your long-acting insulin injection can help completely eliminate morning spikes. This is extremely important, especially if you've been on insulin for more than 5 years. Step 7. Avoid stress before bed. Television, news, and loud conversations all stimulate the nervous system, raising cortisol levels, which in turn contributes to higher blood sugar. Instead, opt for quiet, dim lighting, reading a book, listening to an audiobook, or taking a warm shower. These may seem simple, but they are incredibly effective. Step 8. Weight control. Even an extra 11 pounds, 5 kilograms, in an older person can negatively impact insulin resistance and, consequently, morning blood sugar levels. There's no need for strict diets. Simply eliminating evening carbohydrates and establishing a regular eating schedule will help you lose weight and stabilize your blood sugar. Finally, be patient. If you start carefully monitoring your dinner, add a second snack, and implement an evening routine, results won't take long to appear. Typically, blood sugar levels begin to decrease within 3 to 5 days and become consistently within the normal range after 2 weeks. Most importantly, don't give up if you don't see immediate success. An older person's body requires respect, time, and care. If you provide that, it will respond with sound sleep and a feeling of well-being from the moment you wake up. In conclusion, if you've read this far, you've already taken the first step. This step isn't just about blood sugar control. It's a move towards a calmer life, energetic mornings, and the feeling that you manage your condition, not the other way around. Today, it's clear that morning blood sugar spikes are not random occurrences or divine punishment. They are your body's attempt to protect itself. By providing the right support in the evening, your body will stop waking you up with high blood sugar. We've thoroughly discussed which foods truly help. These aren't expensive supplements or exotic berries, but simple items: cottage cheese, eggs, lean meat, a drop of olive oil, some nuts, and grains prepared thoughtfully. All of these are readily available in every home, especially for older individuals accustomed to natural eating. We also covered what to avoid: fruits at night, white bread, sugary yogurts, potatoes, and instant porridges. Remove them from your diet, and within a few days, your glucometer will show significantly different numbers. We've broken down how to structure your evening routine, when to eat dinner, what to eat, and whether a light snack is needed. It's all simple, yet effective, especially when applied daily. Remember, diabetes is not a life sentence. It's a condition you can keep in check. You don't have to fear every sip of water or gram of carbohydrates. The key is understanding what and why you're eating and not giving up halfway. 7 simple steps, and the dawn phenomenon will disappear. This has been observed hundreds of times, and you'll see it too if you start applying these recommendations today. Thank you for your time. You've given yourself a chance, and that's significant. Take care of yourself, and share this information with others who also suffer from morning blood sugar issues. This information may serve as a vital guide for many, helping prevent serious complications often associated with diabetes. May everyone who uses these tips achieve deep, restorative sleep, see stable and encouraging morning test results, feel a surge of energy and vitality, and live long, fulfilling lives. It's crucial to always remember that even in old age, there's a real opportunity to significantly improve your health and quality of life. The most important thing is to take the first step towards change and show persistence, never stopping at what you've achieved. We wish everyone robust health and well-being.